Hello, and welcome to Short Stories. I'm your host, Martin. Today's story comes from an Italian book of folktales called The Pentamerone, which was written in 1634 by Giambattista Basile. I have simplified the story and called it Goat Face. It's a strange little story about the importance of gratitude. But first, I must tell you the vocabulary and example sentences. After the story, I will ask you for listening comprehension questions. Are you ready? Let's go. Vocabulary. Obeisance. Obeisance. The barons showed their obeisance to the king. Between a rock and a hard place. Between a rock and a hard place. I'm between a rock and a hard place. I don't know what to do. Opulence. Opulence. The prince lived a life of opulence and comfort. Spoiled. Spoiled. A lack of discipline will lead to spoiled children. Ungrateful. Ungrateful. She was angry because her children were so ungrateful. Appalled. Appalled. The jury was appalled by the behavior of the defendant. Be beneath someone. Be beneath someone. The queen will not eat KFC because it is beneath her. Reform. Reform. How can we reform our unfair electoral system? The story. Once upon a time in Italy, there was a poor peasant named Masaniello. He was poor because he had 12 daughters to feed and clothe. To keep his enormous family fed, he got a job digging ditches. He would dig all day just to get enough money to buy one loaf of bread and some cheese. It was a hard life indeed. One day, Masaniello got a job digging a mine on the side of a mountain. Actually, it was an extinct volcano. The digging was tough because of the sharp volcanic rock, but it paid double. While digging, the floor suddenly gave way, and Masaniello fell into a hidden cave. Masaniello checked himself for injuries and looked up. It will be nearly impossible to climb out of here, he thought to himself. Unexpectedly, he heard a strange noise from the darkness. "Who's there?" asked Masaniello. "Be not afraid, my good man, for I am not here to do you any harm, but to do you good," came the reply. Then, out of the darkness came a huge lizard. Masaniello was frozen with fear. When confronted with a powerful being, it's best to show obeisance, which is what Masaniello did. He got down on his knees and said, "Master, I am totally in your power. Have mercy on me." The lizard flicked out her tongue and said, "That is why I have come. I want to help you. I will let you out of this cave if tomorrow morning you bring your youngest daughter to me. I will take care of her and love her as if she were my own daughter." Masaniello was between a rock and a hard place. He didn't want to give his youngest daughter to a monster, but he didn't want to die in the cave either. "Oh, what do I do?" he said to himself. After a long pause, the lizard spoke. "Decide quickly, or you won't see your family again." The man relented and agreed to bring back his youngest daughter. The lizard helped him out of the cave, and he went home. When Masaniello arrived at home, his wife could tell that there was something weighing him down. "What's wrong, honey? Did you lose your job? Did the donkey die?" she asked. "No," he replied. "It's worse." He explained what happened in the cave and the deal he had to make. "What should I do?" he asked. "If I let the monster have my little girl, a part of me will die. But if I don't bring her, my whole being will die, and my family will starve to death." The wife answered, "Who knows what opportunity fortune will bring? This lizard has made a promise to love our daughter. Maybe we can trust her." So they both decided to bring their daughter to the lizard. The next morning, Masaniello brought his youngest daughter, Renzolla, to the lizard's cave. When he handed over his daughter, the lizard threw a bag of coins to him. "Go now," said the lizard. "Be happy, for Renzolla has found both father and mother." Masaniello returned home and used the money to improve his family's life. Meanwhile, the lizard, which of course was magic, created a magnificent palace for Renzolla to live in. There she grew up well-fed and well-clothed. All her needs were taken care of, just as the lizard had promised. The years passed by, and the digging project was abandoned and forgotten. Weeds and shrubs grew over the entrance to the cave. One day, a young king was out hunting with his companions. The king chased a rabbit into some shrubs on the side of the mountain. He suddenly fell into the lizard's cave. When he picked himself up, he saw a magical glowing palace. "Wow!" he gasped. He called up to his friends above to get a rope and to join him. They approached the palace cautiously. They knocked on the door, and a beautiful lady answered it. Little did they know it was actually the lizard in disguise. She offered them food and drink. The king marveled at the opulence of the underground palace. Not only was the building more beautiful than any he had ever seen, but there were 100 smartly dressed servants to wait on him and his men. They were lavishly entertained at the dinner table. "It can't get much better than this," said the king to his companions. That's when the beautiful lady reappeared with the most gorgeous young princess. It was Renzolla, who was now 18 years old. She served the king wine and chatted with him merrily. The king fell instantly in love. He turned to the lady, who he assumed to be Renzolla's mother, and said, "I must have her for my wife. Will you please consent to our marriage?" The lady said, "Of course, I only want what's best for my dear Renzolla." She then handed the king the dowry, which was 7 million gold coins. Although Renzolla was beautiful, she had one flaw. She was horribly spoiled. The lizard queen had loved her too much. She gave her everything she asked for and sheltered her from the harsh realities of life. Renzolla left the cave without ever saying thank you. The lizard had had enough. "That girl is as ungrateful as a she-goat," she said to herself. The lizard queen cursed Renzolla as soon as she was out the door. When the king and his bride reached the castle, the curse immediately took effect. The king looked at his lovely bride's face and saw something awful. Renzolla's face had transformed to look like a goat. The king was shocked and appalled. He didn't know what to do, so he sent her to live with his maid. "Maybe she can figure out what's wrong," the king said. The maid was not afraid of the goat-faced princess. She put Renzolla to work right away. The first task was to spin some flax into cloth. Renzolla was still arrogant and said, "I may look like a goat, but I'm still a princess. I will not do peasant's work." At that, she threw the flax out of the window. The next job was in the kennel. The maid gave Renzolla a puppy and said, "Take care of this puppy and raise it." Renzolla grumbled and replied, "This is beneath me." She then threw the dog out of the window. The final job was to peel the carrots for the stew. Renzolla picked up a carrot and frowned. "Carrots are for rabbits, not princesses," she muttered. She then threw the carrots out of the window. By this time, it was becoming obvious that Renzolla's condition was worsening. Not only did she have the face of a goat, but she also had hooves and a tail. She became horribly depressed and ran away. She ran all the way back to the magic palace in the cave. At the door, she was greeted by her stepmother, the Lizard Queen. She held Renzolla in her arms as she cried, "I'm so sorry I mistreated you," she whimpered. "There, there," said the Lizard Queen, "I forgive you." She then explained to Renzolla her origins and how she was raised. Renzolla realized her flaws and vowed to reform. She then thanked her mother for all that she had done for her. The Lizard Queen wiped the tears from her eyes and told her to go back to the king. "Everything will be okay," she assured her. When Renzolla returned to the castle, the king hugged her and said, "My sweet, I've been so worried about you." That's when he realized that her face had changed back to its old, beautiful appearance. "Your face! It's wonderful!" he exclaimed. The princess was presented to the royal court and formally declared queen. Not only did she accept her duties as queen, but she also helped out around the castle whenever she could. She and the maid became good friends, and she lived happily ever after. Listening comprehension questions. Number 1. Who did Masaniello meet in the cave? A. Renzolla. B. His wife. C. The king. D. The Lizard Queen. Question 2. Which word best describes Renzolla's personality? A. Friendly. B. Obedient. C. Conceited. D. Both A and B. Question 3. Why did Renzolla look like a goat? A. She was cursed by the Lizard Queen. B. She ate a poisoned apple. C. Her parents were goats. D. She hit puberty. Question 4. What is the lesson of this story? A. Always be grateful to your parents. B. Never look a gift horse in the mouth. C. Don't judge a book by its cover. D. Lizards are terrible parents.